So when it comes to how to teach and learn spirituality, for this ebook we were told how to in this passage that I am going to share, and I feel that this passage actually explains in a way what I have been trying to say about the solar and lunar epochs. So in this video I'm going to share with you a summary on how to work with those impulses. Hello everyone, my name is Valeria, and in this channel I talk about spirituality and esoterics. So I already shared with you the video about Venus and the lunar impulses and how the risk for a solar epoch is to be too much solar instead of too much lunar. And I also shared in the video about the solar impulse the problem with ignoring that we are in a solar epoch and with following teachings that are for the past. So this video is super important. It's a summary on how to work with those teachings, with spiritual teachings. When you are a psychic, when you are working with spirituality, and especially if you are someone that shares with others, it is so important to understand how and where we are in relation to the streams. So now we are again in the solar epoch. We are following God, one God. We are meant to have a one-on-one direct connection with God. And we also have the Holy Spirit available. Yeshua came, so those are some facts that we have to have present and we should consider if we are psychics. That doesn't mean that we have to forget about teachings that maybe our soul resonates with, or about the galactic, or that we have to follow dogmatic religions. Okay, so I love this passage from the Bible. At least for me, is explaining exactly how we should work with the streams in this epoch. This is from Revelation 12. Is the 12th chapter of the book of Revelation from the New Testament, so of the Christian Bible. So you can tell that this was written for this epoch, like considering Yeshua and more. So I'm going to read. So Revelation 12:1. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. So of course this is Mary, so she was embodying the sun. That is what we do in this epoch. That is what Yeshua did for us. Yeshua took on the spirit of the sun for us, but we still do that as well, in some degree. I still had an experience with the sun entering myself in this life, and the sun is guiding this incarnation for us. We receive and accept the Holy Spirit. And what is very important in this passage is that she still considers the lunar impulses. For grounding, the moon is on her feet. The lunar impulses are on her feet. The moon is not the main actor, but is not eliminated. We need the divine feminine teachings and lunar teachings, teachings a bit more from the past, even in a solar epoch, as those teachings ground us. This is how we work with these two impulses. Of course, we have 12 DNA strands, 12 stargates. 12 is a holy number, as you can see, and we should work with number 12 more in esoterics, more than 7, and of course more than 10, as 10 is distorted in these teachings. So I will say that the best teachings are the ones that are trying to consider a starting point from where the collective is at. And I mean not distorted teachings, but, considering where people are at. Kundalini, they are having Kundalini awakenings. People believe that they can do what they want. They want to manifest anything, as an example. So you can take that and be a bridge those teachings with the teachings from God, and asking God how we can teach what we are meant to. as part of the Christ stream. So you don't need to follow dogmatic religions, but you need to be aware of the solar stream and in connection to God and follow God's will. So you have to breathe those teachings in a harmonic way, and that is what is needed in the spiritual community and the mystery schools right now. Those are the mystery schools that are very useful. The feminine, the lunar teachings and the lunar stream are related with the root, with our root chakra, our roots, with Kundalini and with the past, while the masculine, the crown, the sun, the Holy Spirit are related with the future. But again, it's not about moving from one to the other and rejecting the past. It is about integrating the lunar teachings while moving toward the sun. You can consider ancient teachings that maybe you like, even from ancient tribes, even like from Lemuria, while you still consider the Holy Spirit and the Christ stream. In my experience, those are the teachings that work, because if not, you lack grounding. And because we have this Kundalini awakening, people often experience first the divine feminine, the Kundalini awakening, life force manifestation, and then receive the Holy Spirit, the masculine, the sun. So they often move from Kundalini to the Holy Spirit, but we should do that in the other way, We should experience first the solar, the Holy Spirit, God, and then Kundalini, the divine feminine. And that is, but most of us, we experienced that the other way around, and that is why we have painful Kundalini awakenings and dark nights of the soul, But that is the idea, that you understand that people are moving from a Kundalini awakening, from life force that is super lost truly, into receiving God and the solar streams, enlightenment. So this is a super important theme. Like, if you're a psychic, if you teach or guide others, you have to have a view about this, and you probably have asked God about this, as there is something very karmic about teaching the wrong streams, like introducing certain perspectives before the time is right, or being too much in the past, too much in the future. So themes like following various gods, then following one god, then following God, and so on, those have been important in different epochs of the earth. We need to know where we are at, considering what the earth is receiving in the present moment, and not from the book, not from what someone said that was going to be happening this year, for example, but from what is happening, from what we can feel in the grids. And when we tap in the collective, that is why I love that passage from the Bible, because that is exactly what I have been feeling for a long time, for the collective, what I feel that we need in the present moment. So, for example, in the past, pharaohs and queens in ancient Egypt were embodying celestial bodies. I can make a video about that. I love those mysteries. But we were embodiments of certain planets, mostly Venus and Mars. Like in the 18th dynasty, for example. Um, and the idea was to move from that, then to teach people on how to follow one God. And then Yeshua came, and the Holy Spirit was available. Um, and we had a one-on-one connection with God. So you see, in the past, pharaohs and queens had to be spiritually advanced. That was needed. But now, in the present, people in the governments, they aren't, because it's not that much needed, as we have this one-on-one connection to God. So in this life, we as ascended masters, as indigos, we are not in those positions anymore, at least for now. We are helping in a different way, and we have different missions. And in the past, people had those different gods that were representing different aspects of Source, of God, and maybe they were not ready to make that change at certain point to follow only one God. But you still have to do your mission and teach what you are meant to, but considering where the collective is at without teaching distorted things, that is really your mission as someone that is maybe guiding ascension or likes to teach about spirituality. But I feel that if someone teaches something that people can't get at all, at the end, it's not useful. That is why you always ask God how to teach and deliver what you are meant to. And this theme again is can be super karmic. That is why I am making these videos, because I have some karma with this, and it's not because I am a bad being. It's because we come with to teach to teach certain things, and if a collective is not ready for that, it's very difficult because the earth is receiving certain streams, and you have to teach what the earth is receiving. And if people are not ready for those teachings, it's like, you know, you are not that helpful if you are not getting where people are at, but at the same time, you can't ignore what is happening on the earth, what is running through the grids, and what you came to teach, maybe, or to share. So, this can be a theme, okay? And that is why, again, when we were in Egypt, for example, and other civilizations as well, uh, we had to, if we were, for example, again, some kind of queen, like someone that was making some choices and guiding people, we had to be very aware of this, of what was happening, what we were receiving, even at the cosmic level. And often, if you did this in the past, it's like in this lifetime we don't have that mission, like, anymore, because the earth is working in a very different way. Um, so I am making this video only for people that want to know this for their lives, but it's not like we need one person that is going to tell us what is happening with the streams, and so on. So, of course, as psychics, we have to do our best in order to explain all this from the spiritual science. So remember, the risk of the solar epoch is about sects, doctrines. If we reject the divine feminine and the lunar impulses, we are at risk of having very doctrinaire teachings, even in spirituality, because that is the sun distorted when the sun is distorted. So there is a risk as well that someone connects to God, and that person says like they are the only one that can do that, and they start to tell you what to do, who should be your twin flame, and you know how this goes. Another risk again is that teachings that are too much from the book and don't apply for what we are actually experiencing. And that is what I feel with some of the teachings, like from anthroposophy, for example, like still useful, but just up to some point. Because when our life is not from the book, we can't explain reality from the book, really. Um, so when you have people experiencing twin flames, starseed, awakening, memories from galactic lives, it's not that you are there for the distortion, because those themes can have distorted aspects from the new age, but you are there for what people are experiencing, and you have to find the spiritual science that has explanations for those things in the purest way possible. But it is not useful to ignore what they are experiencing, or to tell them that twin flames are a lie. You can't teach from something that is not making sense for what people are experiencing. And of course, as psychics, we have to do our best in order to explain all this from the spiritual science and guiding people back to God. But following only the book, bypassing what people are experiencing, is not useful. You have to understand where a collective is at, and then let God move through you and guide them through the different awakenings. Um, so this is a summary from my long videos about the lunar and solar impulses. If you are someone that is teaching others, if you are looking for teachings for yourself, or how to connect to spirituality, maybe you had a recent awakening, this video is going to help you to understand and to be well in time, in the present, understanding what the collective is experiencing and how to work with that. So this is about understanding that when we are in the present, we are in the heart center. Remember, the crown is on the future and the roots from the past. And it's only in the present, in the heart, that you have this alchemy when Kundalini meets the Holy Spirit. And those are the teachings that are going to help you, teachings that understand that work with the Kundalini and the Holy Spirit, and that mix that happens in the heart. Okay, so thank you so much for being here today and for watching this video, and I am sending you so much love.